let's say that you want your students to respond to or to utilize a task in Google Slides, and you want them to be able to type on the screen or draw on the screen, but you are tired of dealing with students deleting the things that are there, or maybe you need to format them in a certain way. Like I've got these spaced apart with just hitting enter to space them apart. So one option that you have would be to download the slide after you've created it, download it as an image, so PNG or JPEG, and then if you insert a new slide and change the background by uploading that same image, then you'll have the exact same thing as before. Let me change the layout so that it's blank. You'll have the exact same thing as before, but the student can't delete that. And this can be very handy in a lot of settings, but do know that this would be absolutely inappropriate if you had students that relied on screen readers, or if you had students that relied on Google Translate or other options like that to translate the text, because then this is an image and the text is no longer readable. So it can't be read by a screen reader. It can't be translated by Google Translate or otherwise. But if you have students that need scaffolds and support like that, you can provide those supports in other ways, like providing a human reader, for example, then you could still utilize this tactic. So this comes in handy to be able to then, if you wanted to as the teacher, you could insert the text box, or you could just teach your students how to insert a text box so that they can respond on slides like these. If you wanted them to make a drawing as part of it, of course they have access to all the shape tools, but again, when they put those shapes on top, they won't accidentally drag or delete or move the items that are already there. So that would be an option for drawing shapes, inserting lines, other things that you might do in a math setting, for example. So something like this, where you want them to manipulate this diagram to show how you could solve it. Well, obviously, if you made this movable, they might accidentally delete this or drag it into another spot after they'd started manipulating in some ways like this, for example. And it can be very frustrating for the students. So again, what you could do if you have appropriate supports for those students who need things read to them or need translation services, and you have those supports in other ways it can be delivered, and it's okay for the text to become images, then download each of your slides that you want them to manipulate as an image, and then you can delete the slide if you wanted to, or make a new version of the whole thing that you wanted for your students, where each of the slides is now the background. The slide that you had created is now an image background that cannot be changed by the students. Nothing can be deleted for the instructions or the diagrams or anything else like that. And then again, you can insert any text boxes you wanted them to use already, or just teach them how to use the tools that may be helpful in communicating what it is that you want them to communicate for their learning. Thanks for learning with me.